Okay, so hi, my name is Karen A. in Jerusalem. This is the Afro-Euro Reco12 podcast. We are a family of recovering addicts from all addictions and all afflictions. I'm using the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. You might be a gambler, an overeater, anorexic, a bulimic, a codependent, an Al-Anon, a narcotics user, a workaholic, a debtor, a gambler, and you can feel free to add anything more to the list. And if you're like me, you're here because you want relief or you found relief using the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous as outlined in the big book, I invite you to check out Reco12.com. It's a fantastic repository of recovery resources. Noodle It Out with Nikki, the Reco12 Roundtable with Justin, amazing shares from different fellowships every week, long-term recovery people, newer recovery people, awesome for the newcomer, great for the old timer, and everything in between. Justin has meetings Friday in the U.S. time zone. He's on the West Coast. I'm here every Friday morning. If you're recovered and would like to share your experience, strength, and hope, I want you. We have room for speakers starting October. And you're welcome to reach out to me. I'll put my number in the chat. If you'd like to contribute a seventh tradition, you could do that at Reco12.com/support, and we accept PayPal and Venmo. So if everyone wants to unmute for a second, why don't we just all take a deep breath, take a moment in silent prayer for the addict who's still suffering, and then I'll give a 3, 2, 1, and we could say the serenity prayer together. So let's take a moment for the addict who's still suffering. Connect to each other, connect to them. We'll send them our energy of recovery, strength, and hope. I ask you all to join me in the Weave version of the Serenity Prayer. Feel free to unmute. You want to start us, Anya?
Sure. Hi. God,
Hello.
grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Amen. Okay, so what's on my mind? This is a program that takes honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I'm before the new year here in my country, according to our calendar, and I've been thinking a lot about honesty. About a year ago, I ordered sushi, and I was standing on the sidewalk, and there was nowhere to park, and I asked the person to give it to me. I ordered 3 rolls, and I was like, okay, I'll pay you by credit card. And I called later. They didn't answer. I called later again. They didn't answer. I called 2 weeks later. They didn't answer. Like, in theory, I did that. But it niggled at me. I was like, you know what? This is eating away at my spiritual bank account. Like, I took 3 sushi rolls. They're not a freebie. Now, it's not my fault that I didn't get in touch with them. So I actually know the owner of the chain. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I owe you for 3 sushi rolls. Can I pay you by bit? He's like, oh, wow. Yeah. And it's like, a little bit off my heart, a little bit off that list, that nighttime, that nightly review. A little clearer so I could serve God and his fellows. I had to fix my car. I had to look at my to-do list. Well, I found out I hadn't done that for 2 years. My country here is at war. It's been a mess here. I found out I wasn't insured. I didn't do my annual service test, and my car could have been taken off the road. See, this is what unmanageability looks like. And yet, we could get our house in order, so I'm going to have to pay more for insurance. I had to pay for 2 years worth of tests. I'm going to go have to get a bunch of repairs that if I would have done everything on time, I wouldn't have. But the big book tells me that, I'm not horrified. I'm not yelling and screaming. Yeah, it's going to be $2,000, unfortunately. But a price has to be paid if we want to live this lifestyle, if we want to clean house, trust God, and serve others. You got to be honest. We got to be rigorous. And it's not always fun, but if you're like me, that is the only way for an addict. You know, I can't take these shortcuts. I can't do these little cheats like other people could do, because then it makes me crazy. It makes the unmanageability worse. So if you've got some unmanageability in your life, if you're an addict who's dealing with unmanageability, I just want to plug that there is a solution. We make a list. You know, if you're doing your step 4, I have a sponsor who just finished step 5, 6, and 7. Made a list of people you've harmed. Okay, so I harmed Sushi and Bagels. So I harmed, you know, whatever you call it, the Ministry of Transportation. I harmed, you know, myself, my car. You know, thank God I didn't get in a car accident. I could have had my license taken away. You know, that's a miracle. I'm sure you addicts relate to that, having stuff taken away. And we get to work. There is a solution. A price had to be paid. But then the miracles come. The miracles come, and we have to trust higher power that he's got our back, that he's in charge of all the finances, all the money, all the miracles, and he's got our back. And we know that, right? Because you could buy a really expensive pair of shoes and they don't last one day. And you could buy an affordable pair of shoes and you love them and you keep them for 3 years, you know. In my country, we say you don't just need money, you need blessing in your money. You know, and those are the miracles. You know, we ask higher power to help us with our money, with our relationships, with our manageability. I want to give another personal example about 10, 11, and 12, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. This is one for you guys on the line. I know we have some people here, fabulous people who sponsor. I know Brian, Denira, the rest of you I don't know. I think Audrey might sponsor as well. Yeah, Anya, I'm going to get to your question in a second. Sometimes we want to do service, we want to do good things. And then, you know, if you're a coda like me, that throws you into more unmanageability. You know, it's one of the things in like some of the coda literature that I take on more that I could chew. Sometimes known as people pleasing, sometimes not being able to say no. And it's like I was asked to do a meeting here for Orthodox Jewish women, you know, who don't have WhatsApp, who don't have Zoom. And it's really noble, and I feel it's something I have to do. And yet the only time they were available was when I was at my work hours. So the first time I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to work that day. I'll work from home. I'll go late. And I'm like, wait, that's crazy. Like my program is asking me for honesty. I'm not supposed to miss work, be late, be stressed, have to miss my hours to do this meeting. Just because it works for, you know, Mrs. N doesn't mean I'm supposed to throw myself into some kind of a tizzy. So I pray, you know, people ask me, what about the meeting? So I'm praying on it. Remember, it doesn't have to be yes or no. I'm praying on it. Step 11 tells us we pray for the next right thought or action. We wait for an intuitive thought or action. Higher power, please guide me. I want to help these women. What is the best way to do that? I thought, well, there's only 2 of them. Maybe I want to take them through the workbook by phone. Maybe I want to make an evening time. But see, I'm starting a whole bunch of studies next week and in the fall. Work studies, my master's degree, that might be more on manageability. I don't really know if I could do that, even though recovery is my priority. I do have a sponsor that I'm working with. She's on step 8, thank God. We want to be helpful, but only if others will not be harmed. We are included in others, my fellow says. See, I'm not supposed to like twist an ankle to help get you recovered. I'm not supposed to break a leg to help you get recovered. I'm supposed to stretch, you know, like a little bit of Pilates, a little bit of yoga, you know. I'm supposed to stretch, get out of my comfort zone, get out of myself, think of others. I'm not supposed to break a leg. I'm not supposed to be crazy, because then that's a resentment waiting to happen. It means I'll yell at my kids. I'll do a bad job at work. I'll be sloppy. I'll be dishonest with my employer, otherwise known as stealing. So that's really, I think that's enough. I've said a lot, and I'm going to recap my points. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Honesty about my schedule. Spoke about the sushi. Honesty about finances. Paying back any debts. It's not my money anyway. It's higher power's money. So don't try and keep it in my pocket. Honesty. My mother asked me if she can come over for 2 meals this weekend. I'm have my daughter's friend over. It doesn't really work so much, but in the morning it's easier. So I said, you know what? Friday night might not work, but the day perhaps will. We get honest in all our affairs. And I just want to encourage you guys to pause, to constantly pray for the next right thought or action, to not jump too fast to make a decision. Okay, pray for the next right thought or action. Know that a price has to be paid, and trust that miracles will happen. Just trust higher power. Clean house is part of cleaning house. I owe this. I got to do that. I can do this. I can't do that. And serve others. That's why we're on this call. And that's why we sponsor people. With that, I'll thank you. Happy to open it for a few minutes of discussion, and I'm happy to get your shares, your questions, your feedback, and we can noodle those out. Anya, yes, you have your hand raised.
Yes, hi, I'm Anya from Dominican Republic. It's 3:22 in the morning here. I'm a compulsive and obsessive debtor. I just saw I needed to hear some words of calmness. So I went online and I found this meeting. No, I'm sorry. I got this through a WhatsApp chat. I'm not really sure what the group is about, but hearing your words, they actually really touched me. I'm going in 2 days. I'll be in my second month in the 12-step program. I took the program abroad, so now I'm back in my country. I'm super scared. I'm feeling super alone. I've survived a suicide attempt. That's when my family decided to take me out and get me some help. But coming back here makes me feel really lonely, really unsafe. I have creditors to whom I still have to meet with. I was away for 2 months, so obviously I don't have a job. I'm looking for a sponsor because I really feel lonely. And I even went over on the amount of the meds that I was supposed to take to try to sleep. And I'm telling you, it's going to be 3:30 a.m. here. And I have not been able to shut my eyes. My mind is going too fast. My negative thoughts are like overpowering me. And it's been tough. I have 5, 6 people telling me each one what to do. But I feel that only someone who lives this actually understands this, because it's easy to say, oh, but don't be sad. Things will work out. Oh, you shouldn't be sad. No, I am sad. I feel sad. And don't invalidate what I'm feeling, because that's how I'm feeling today. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up happy and we'll wake up more hopeful. I don't know. But today I feel as in day one from the program. So I just really hope that this group, just listening to your testimonies and anything that's going to happen that might give me a sense of serenity in my heart, and just a little small bit of peace.
First of all, thank you for sharing, Anya. Thank you for your courage. You are home. You are not alone. Maybe all of us will take a moment to pray over Anya. We're all praying over you for your financial solvence, for your success, for your sanity to return. Let's all do that for a second. Center good vibes and good energy. You feel that, Anya?
Yes. Yes.
Sending you a lot of love. You're
Thank
not
you so
mistaken,
much.
Anya. you're not mistaken in saying when everybody tells you it's going to be okay, that you know that that's a lie. Because, you know, I'm gonna kind of put it to you straight. Our big book says black on white, you know, even though it was written in the late, you know, 1800s, early 1900s, whatever. It says to drink is to die. And this is a disease of our thinking. So to think is to die, right? If you continue with those suicidal thoughts, with that compulsive overspending, if I keep yelling at my kids, if so-and-so keeps having, you know, sick relationships with people, you know, they will die, you know, they will die. And
no one wants to feel bad. It's not like I choose to feel this way. It's just the way I'm feeling. And I need to verbalize it. I need to tell it to someone, or else I'm going to collapse.
Okay. But you have come home and, you know, this is a program, you know, I don't know if you need, you know, medication, hospitalization.
I am on
all of that.
medication. I am on medication,
Okay.
yes.
Right. Well, you know, you have to do whatever your doctor says. So,
Karen, can I chip in for a bit as well?
Absolutely. Go ahead. I just want to finish my sentence for a sec.
Yeah.
This is insanity or death, but there is a solution. You work a program, come on meetings. You're not alone. There are tons of meetings on Zoom. We're here every Friday. Everybody put your number in the chat so Anya could reach out to you.
Thank you.
You know, and there are fellows here who could help you. Nira's going to chime in. I think she belongs to that fellowship, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll silence myself, but we'll put our numbers in the chat. You reach out. Are you in the Spiritual Gangsters or Reco12 chat?
No.
So I want you to send me a message. I'm going to put my number in the chat again, and I'll send, oh yeah, I did. Send me a WhatsApp, and I will forward you a few chats to join. Okay, and then Nira did the same. Okay, everyone else, put your number in the chat. Brian, you might be able to be helpful here if you don't mind putting your number in the chat. Up to you, no pressure. Nira, go ahead.
Got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M and me, Justin B, on Reco12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform.
Hi, Anya. I just want to tell you I can really relate to you. And in March this year, I was in the same position as you are. And I have the same troubles, you know, financial, name it, everything, you know, and I was suicidal and I had a nervous breakdown, physical symptoms where I couldn't work, my hands were shaking. So I can really relate to that. But what I can vouch for you is that now you have people where you can say how you feel. You know, you don't have to keep it inside. And if that's what you think is right for you, you know, sort of validating how you're feeling is real, and you need to talk about it and to with people who have been through it, like myself, like I said, not long ago in March, you know, and I can, the way, you know, I live now, and the program was the only thing that was working. Medication was not working, you know, and how the program worked was just attending meetings, sharing my story, getting a sponsor, doing the steps, and sponsoring myself. Because what that did was gave me purpose where there was no purpose in life anymore. And what also that me did was gave me a community that really understood exactly what I was feeling, what I was going through. And also what it did was seeing people, you know, that was done the work, and that they are living manageably, but they're not saying they all went away and all of a sudden every day started feel like a walk in the park. No, that's not what happens. That's not what I'm saying. But that feeling of hopelessness, that feeling of not wanting to be here, that feeling of overwhelmingness where you don't see any solutions to your problems goes away. Even currently right now, even through my recovery, I'm actually in a place where I made a huge mistake. I applied for bankruptcy when I don't have to, but that was my disease. I took an impulse decision. So, talking with Karen, sitting before we make a decision, asking higher power before, and even in recovery, we still make mistakes. But what I don't have now is that hopelessness, and that comes from really believing, even when you don't want to believe, waking up every day and thinking that day is going to be great, even if it's not, even through the pain you're feeling, even through the hopelessness. Seeing, for example, people like myself who's saying, I was in the exact same position as you, where my family had to suicide watch me for a month every 24 hours, and none of them understood. That's how hard it was. But I'm here telling you, this program works. The only way it works is even when you don't want to believe it, you believe, attending every meeting, talking like today, when we pray to give you energy, that it comes. Just believe and just keep turning up. Okay?
Thank you,
You're very
Naira.
welcome. And feel free to message me as well if you like. Okay?
Thank you, Naira and Karen. Thank you so much.
You have been heard. Anyone else want to come in here, want to come share your experience, strength, and hope in 10, 11, and 12, want to respond to that feeling of hopelessness, of futility, the bedevilments. You hear the bedevilments, Anya just spelled them out. The big book talks about the bedevilments, the 4 dark horsemen, right? You're bewildered, prey to misery and depression, could not manage our personal relationships. Does anyone like to come in, unmute, and share on that? You're all welcome to. No pressure, but you are welcome to.
Hi, this is Brian. Can you hear me okay?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm not in the best internet room. So, Anya, I just really hear your pain and what you're going through. I relate to being very unhappy, being very miserable, and life feeling just not worth living. And thanks to this program, my life has turned around completely. I often still feel physically unwell, but I just have such a sense of gratitude and appreciation of life and joy. And the best part is just seeing like peaks of my higher powers, love and kindness, just many times throughout each day, having a freedom of not being obsessed and addicted to people, being free from compulsive eating and food addiction. I definitely need the money program. Just my life and relationship has changed so much, and anyone could have anyone's life as long as we're honest. Anyone's life, no matter what their mental health issues are or struggles with, it's just so incredible to have a life of usefulness. To be aware that for me, like my selfishness is my problem, and just to get out of myself and to have a healthy sense of, if your higher power wants you here, if God, if we're alive today, if God gave us life today, then we have a purpose here. We have a mission. We're here to be, I like the way Karen says, God's intelligent spearhead agent, something like, from the big book. I have a purposeful life. Life is a gift, and it's full of challenges. It's constantly full of challenges, big and small, and full of people that can be annoying, difficult, not doing things my way. I'm a very sensitive soul, and I can feel hurt easily. But thanks to this program, I've learned to do step 10, so look at things differently, to let things go, to know that what happens to me is from my higher power with love for a purpose. And to be able to do turnaround, to look at things in a different way. And your share, Karen, really struck a chord. It was like beautiful on, how honest, open-minded willingness and GOD, good orderly direction. And, wanting to live a life and striving towards and living a life that is living life in the right way. And you talked about, I've had a sponsor tell me that, how honest, open-minded willingness. Oh, the open-mindedness means humility. Humility, being open to what someone else is saying and the messages that God is sending me. So it could be a sponsor or a friend or whatever, just sharing, being honest and saying, you're being unreasonable. You're having expectations. I've been hearing about my interpretations, like the way I interpret what someone else is saying. Like a whole, like making a whole story in my head, making a whole story in my head about this person. We were supposed to get together. They canceled and they said they can't get together for the next while. And I can just so easily go into feeling hurt, feeling abandoned, feeling not important. Her kids are important to her. I'm not important to her. I'm not important to her. Not important enough for her to keep a word. Not important. All that disease talking. And I can also go into my rights. She owes it to me. She owes it to me. That's a big thing. I have demands of people. They owe it to me. And thanks to this program, number one is I can go into whatever happened was God's will for me with love. So it was supposed to happen that my friend was supposed to cancel and tell me that's for my growth and good. And number two is like, all this is interpretation. None of this means anything. This doesn't mean her saying she doesn't have like time now. It doesn't mean that I'm not a priority to her. And even if I'm not a priority to her, it doesn't matter. I'm a priority to my higher power. And it's not about me. My interpretation. It's, can I have compassion for this person? She's going through a lot now. She's, even if it's a good lot, even if it's because she has a lot of, joyous experiences and celebrations in her life, she's going through a lot. Can I like take myself off and think about her and not and think about her and like give her the space and the break she needs to be supportive of her instead of making it about me? Just being able to sometimes, with God's help, not make everything about me just makes me so much less sensitive and so much happier. And, I'm the one that benefits from trying to be there for others and care about others and do God's will for others. I'm the one that becomes happier and more fulfilled and has more peace and more meaning in my life. And this just comes from step work, and it can happen for you, Anya, just by taking whatever small action you need to take today, whatever that is, or tonight. And I also just want to say that I also want to share that I have tremendous amount of sleep issues, and it's gotten so much better and easier. I'm not sure if the sleep itself, but just having a trust in a higher power just makes everything, much more workable, a lot less future tripping. How am I going to get through the day? And oh my gosh, I don't feel good. This is terrible. It's like life and death. I'm like, no, I can get through this moment. Higher power is helping me now and always. And I can get through a lot of physical pain and discomfort much more easily because I have a relationship with a higher power that I work on staying close to. Anyway, thank you, Karen, for this podcast and doing this. And thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bridie. Thank you so much for sharing, and thanks for all that you do. Would anyone else who hasn't shared yet like to say something on the topic of 10, 11, and 12, getting honest, getting straight with higher power, working with others, prayer, meditation, conscious contact? Last chance.
I can. It's Gloria here in Australia. Just realised I like to talk, so I thought I often just sit in the background, but I do like to talk. So yeah, just really want to say that what I've heard everyone say is really true, and I think was it Bridie was saying, by working these steps, we do get a better life. Like, you know, and as Nira was saying, you know, life still happens, but we no longer like sink into that like pit of despair. But I too have had and still have from time to time sleep issues. But my sponsor said to me, just ask God to help you go back to sleep. And I tell you what, it works it's the rare time now that I don't go back to sleep. If I wake up during the night or wake up too early. And, you know, it says in the book, we don't pray for ourselves unless it's to help others. And I had a previous sponsor used to, you know, she said to me, you know, how can you function and be helpful to people? And, you know, if you're not sleeping well, so it's not, you know, selfish to ask, you know, God to help you go back to sleep. And I was thinking that today, like, there's definitely a higher power with me and, you know, supporting me because, I mean, that's a really clear example for me. You know, I asked to go back to sleep and I go back to sleep and, you know, it's not always effective if I go to bed too late. You know, I know that I'm probably not going to feel the greatest the next day. I do sort of need to keep those sleep hygiene principles to the best, and I'm not always good at that. But, you know, I really think. So, yeah, it is, yeah. I liked what also, not the future tripping. If I say to myself, God, please help me today, you know, I don't feel so great. Please help me to get through the day. Amazingly, you know, I get through the day and I function. At the end of the day, I go, oh, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So that's really good. But, yeah, not sleeping, it can be really, really difficult. So, yeah, just really want to affirm where you're at, like, yeah, 3:26 a.m. Yeah, that's not the best place to be. It's, yeah, can be feel quite distraught at that time of the morning when you're still not asleep. But, you know, maybe you'll get some sleep after this. Yeah, and I just, in terms of 10, 11 and 12, like step 10, I think that and the third step are my favourite steps. They're just, you know, it's like things happen, I get angry, I get resentful, but I can use a step 10 not to stay stuck, which is so good. And I had a lovely experience today, just to kind of share this. A sponsor's decided to, after I've got her through the 12 steps, she's now having a different sponsor, and I didn't feel an ounce of resentment. It's like, great. I knew that, you know, she was wanting a different form of sponsorship, and I was going to have that conversation, but she initiated it. So that was, you know, normally I would have gone to resentment and I'm defective and all of that. It's like, I've just been able to move on from there. So I'm really grateful for that. I missed Karen's share. Sorry. I was attending to some administrative tasks on the phone, but I was looking forward to this meeting. But yeah, thanks everyone for the meeting.
Thank you. Any others who haven't shared yet want to come in? Share your recovery experience, strength, and hope today. If you didn't hear Anya, she was sharing about desperation, suicide attempts, compulsiveness, deading. Anyone wants to share some experience, strength, and hope, we'll take it out on a high note, and we're going to end early. Okay, so with that, I am going to wrap us up early. I'm going to remind us to pause. I'm going to remind us to meditate. Anya, there are a lot of great apps online for meditation. When I can't fall asleep, that does the trick. I put on a meditation. I go into deep relaxation. It does the trick anytime. There are great meditations on YouTube, on Insight Timer. You can just Google whatever you relate to, whatever your faith, your religion, your connection. Big fan of meditations. That's conscious contact with the higher power, okay?
I've been trying on the
I'm just gonna wrap us up here. Sorry, we can take questions offline, okay?
Okay, sorry.
No apology needed. So I'm gonna recommend going to a meditation, reaching out if you can't sleep. Maybe higher power wants us reaching out to others, doing something. Maybe higher power, you know, wants us to clean a drawer or clean a closet. You know, we just have to pray for the next right thought or action, and he will lead us, not our sponsor, not our friends, not anybody. Okay, so with that, we're going to close out. We can all unmute and go for the version of the Serenity Prayer. Okay, someone like to lead us in the version of the Serenity Prayer?
God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change.
Courage to change the things we
Courage to
can.
change the things we can.
Know the difference.
Wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not ours, be done.
Okay, everybody, thank you. Have a beautiful weekend. Make sure you check on it.
Thanks,
Help
Carol.
a newcomer. You bet. Thank you all.
Have a good day.
Bye.